When you click on this video, you probably expected a roadmap like start with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then pick a framework like React. And that is exactly how I started learning front end back in 2018. And honestly, it is a good way to begin. But looking back now, I realized something. Following that roadmap alone can actually slow down your growth in the long run. Because at some point, this starts to happen. You learn a framework, get comfortable with it, and then a new one shows up. So you start learning that one too. And before you realize it, you are stuck in a loop. Meanwhile, more tools keep appearing: React, Vue, Angular, Svelte, Next.js, and it starts to feel like you're always behind trying to catch up. And that's where the burnout comes from. Not because front end is too hard, but because we're looking at each framework in isolation. The shift that changed everything for me. Despite how many tools exist, front end development is really just trying to solve three types of problems. First, there is user experience. This is all about how the app feels to the user. Is it fast? Is it responsive? Does it feel smooth and interactive? And does it work reliably across different devices and browsers? Second, there is developer experience. This is about us as developers. How easy is the code to write? How easy is it to understand when you come back to it later? And can you actually maintain it as the app grows? And third, there is scalability and architecture. This is where things start to get more complex. How do you organize a large code base? How do you structure components? And most importantly, how do you keep your UI in sync with your data? That last part, state management, is honestly one of the hardest problems in front end. Once you see these three pillars, something clicks. Every framework is just trying to solve one or more of these problems. And every time we solve one problem, we create new ones. In the early days of the web, most websites were server rendered. There was some JavaScript, but browser APIs were inconsistent. Interactivity was limited. Every action often required a full page reload. So user experience wasn't great, and developer experience wasn't either. And then came jQuery in the 2000s. It made DOM manipulation easier, handled browser inconsistencies, and made Ajax practical. Suddenly, website became more interactive, but this created a new problem. As apps grew, the code base became messy. There was no clear structure, everything was just everywhere. In the early 2010s, frameworks like AngularJS fixed that. They introduced structure like MVC. This improved architecture, but also introduced new complexity. Things like two-way data binding felt powerful, but at scale, they became harder to debug and predict. And then came React, Vue, and modern Angular. They shifted the focus to component-based architecture. This made code more reusable and easier to reason about. React also introduced a simpler mental model with one-way data flow. But now we had a new challenge. How do multiple components share and manage state? Then meta frameworks like Next.js and Nuxt came in. Earlier frameworks like React focused mainly on the UI, leaving developers to figure out routing, data fetching, and SEO on their own, often leading to inconsistent setups across projects. This made app harder to scale and maintain. Meta frameworks solve this by providing an opinionated all-in-one structure where these pieces work out together out of the box. And even today, new frameworks like Svelte are still pushing things forward. Instead of rerunning entire components like React does and relying on manual performance optimizations, they use fine-grained reactivity to track dependency and update what actually changed. So, if I could start over, I wouldn't just follow a roadmap. I would start with the basics, yes, but very quickly step back and ask, which problem is this tool solving? Is it improving UX? Is it improving DX? Is it helping with scalability? Because once you understand that, frameworks stop feeling random.